problem with things that are going in a radical direction, and then there's an overcorrection. So the overcorrection is lack of due process. The overcorrection is like round them all up, ship them to jail. Like that's like some things that you say when you're not thinking things through. Like, what do you do about all the criminals? Take them all and send them to El Salvador.
Yeah.
What about due process? No, for that. But here's the problem with that. What if you are an enemy of, let's not say any current president. Let's pretend we got a new president, totally new guy in 2028. And this is a common practice now of just rounding up gang members with no due process and shipping them to El Salvador. You're a gang member. No, I'm not. Prove it. What? I got to go to court. No, no due process.
That's
right?
dangerous, Joe.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. We got to be careful that we don't become monsters while we're fighting monsters. The problem with
so this is what this really boils down to, all right? Because what he's really talking about is theory. And in theory, you do want to give due process, particularly if you're an American. You want everyone to get due process. If a person comes and they're seeking asylum, you want to give them due process. Here's the problem with that. In theory, it's great. In the practical, okay, let's deal with it. Right now, according to Google, we've got 69 immigration courts across the country. Joe Biden let in, and the conservative number is 10 million. Now, another practical point is when you give these people, these illegals, a court date so that you can actually hear their plea, 60 to 80% of them never show up for the court date. So you can't let them go into the interior like Alejandro Mayorkas was doing. You got to store them somewhere. You got to put them someplace. Where are you going to put? Let's just do it. Let's go take a very low number. Half of 10. Tell you what, we won't even take half of the 10 million. Okay. Let's say we're going to do 1 million illegals. Where are you going to hold them? Well, you got to have a detention center. I'm talking the practical. In theory, wonderful, great. Yeah, let's give everybody due process. Whether they got tattoos all over their face and they got gang apparel all over their. Yeah, let's give everyone due process. So we got a facility. We got to build a detention center that can house at least 1 million. By the way, that's not going to work when Joe Biden lets in 10 million. You're going to have a huge facility. Okay. So they're going to have their court date, and we've got 69 courts. So obviously we're going to need more courts, and that's going to be more taxpayer dollars. Okay. Because you're going to have to build more courts. Okay, fine. You want to double it? Let's say you got 130 now. Do you want to double it or 140? You want to double it? You want to triple it? How much is that going to cost? And as much as those courts are, the judges are, public servants, they don't do it for free. And that's actually my point. Due process isn't free. It actually costs. And so while we're holding them, I'm assuming you're not going to let them starve to death. So you got to feed them. And so that's going to cost more as well. And by the way, what are you feeding them? Because that's going to come into play. And when you're talking about feeding them, I'm assuming you've got some kids in the mix. Where are they going? Are they going to school? If they are going to school, what school? Are you going to bring in teachers to the detention centers to teach the kids? No, once again, which ones? Because not everybody, I don't know if you guys know this, but we were getting illegal migrants from over 100 different countries around the world with Joe Biden in office. Over 100. Tons of them came with kids. Do you have teachers that actually specializes in teaching every single stinking language that came to the seat, that came to our border. See, it's one thing when you're in theory, you want to give everybody, okay, fine, let's give everybody due process. What do you do when you actually talk about doing it? Then it all breaks down. And so the see, and in my mind, because you have, overly, because you have overcorrection. This isn't overcorrection. It's proportional. We're going to round up the bad guys. Here's the problem with this Garcia guy, which everybody, this guy must be, I don't know, Father of the Year. Because once you beat your wife, you are being deported. The woman filed domestic violence. What do you do with that? Oh, you got to give them due process, don't you? You can't just ship them off. You got to give them due process. See, all of this stuff breaks down when you get to the, nitty gritty. When you start talking about the actual, what are we going to do? What is due process? And so that's why everybody starts. And then, of course, everyone says, well, we need to reform the system. It's like, no. You've been yelling that for decades. No. We're going to have a mass deportation. And since they're gang members, now I wouldn't abdicate sending every single one of them to a jail. But guess what? I didn't tell them to come here. This whole notion that, well, you gotta do what's right. It's like, no, I have my chief concern, my primary concern, America. That's my primary concern. How they feel about how they're getting this or that or due process or their court date or what, I don't give a crap. Once you break our law, you are, and I would make it a very, very short. If you came illegally and now you're going to seek asylum, I'm denying you. Why? You broke the law. You don't have standing. You break the law by coming illegally. I will bring you to court. Is this you? Is this your name? When did you come? Did you come through a legal port of entry? When you say no, you're out. Now, of course, they're all going to try to game the system and go, no, I came through a legal port. Then how'd you come here? There would be a form that you would have. And if you're legal, if you came through a legal port of entry, I would think that you would hold on to that document like dear life. You see, it's all great when you're talking about theory, but once you break it down to, okay, well, what does it look like? 69, keep that number in mind. 69 courts across the country, immigration laws, immigration courts. Joe Biden let in 10 million. You're supposed to give them all due process. Okay, well, where are you going to hold them? The facilities, we don't have enough facilities to hold them. So now you got to build a brand new detention center. And what are you going to do with the kids? Are you going to give them the school? And by the way, what are you going to do with the gang members? Are you going to let them just roam in with the general population of the detention center? Or are you going to hold them in a separate place? Because if you let the gang members just kind of mingle with all of the other, detainees, well, bad things are going to happen. They're going to be dropping like flies. See, it's all well and good until you start talking about the practical of it. That's when it breaks down. That's it for now. If you like this video, smash that like button and subscribe. And if you're following me on Rumble, please press that follow button. And until the next time, God bless.